Top-rated tourist attractions in New Orleans, Louisiana. New Orleans is one of America's most unique cities, with a vibe you simply can't find anywhere else. Known the world over for jazz music, Cajun cuisine, and outrageous Mardi Gras celebrations, the city is a melting pot of cultures with a diversity that is reflected in everything from the music and food to the language and architecture. Most of the action for tourists is centered around the French Quarter, with the infamous Bourbon Street at the heart of the district. Along the Mississippi River, which borders the French Quarter to the south, are horse-drawn carriages waiting to take visitors on a tour, the steamboat natches docked along the shore, and tourists lined up to buy beignets. Beyond the French Quarter, the city has many quaint areas worth exploring, from the trendy warehouse district to the posh garden district. New Orleans is a great walking city, with many of the main things to see and do located in or near the French Quarter, but to explore the Garden District, you may want to hop on a historic streetcar. Buses are also a great way to get around, particularly for visiting attractions like the zoo that are further afield. Discover the best places to visit with our list of the top attractions in New Orleans. Number 1. French Quarter. The French Quarter of New Orleans is what most tourists come to see when they visit the city. Set along a bend on the Mississippi River, the main attraction here is the architecture, but it is also a great area for dining and entertainment. The old buildings, some of which date back 300 years, show French influences, with arcades, wrought iron balconies, red tiled roofs, and picturesque courtyards. Many of these buildings now contain hotels, restaurants, souvenir shops, galleries, and a profusion of jazz spots with entertainment of varying quality. The most famous street in the French Quarter is Bourbon Street, but it is not necessarily the highlight of the area. This street is relatively benign by day but at night transforms into a loud and boisterous pedestrian area that may not always feel safe. Royal Street offers a great mix of history, fine cuisine, and unique shopping opportunities, with some higher-end stores, galleries, and hotels. One of the notable buildings on Royal Street is the Court of Two Sisters, 1832, now a restaurant known for its jazz brunch. To hear some quality musicians playing traditional jazz music, Frenchman Street is the place to go. Good restaurants can also be found along here, and artists frequent the area. Also not to be missed in the French Quarter are Jackson Square and St. Louis Cathedral, located just off the waterfront. Buskers, musicians, and artists set up around the square. Number 2. Mardi Gras. Mardi Gras is New Orleans' signature event, with celebrations that span a 2-week period, ending with the finale on Shrove Tuesday, the day before Ash Wednesday. Celebrations include almost daily parades and all kinds of entertainment and festivities that increase in intensity as the event draws closer to the end. Onlookers crowd the balconies and sidewalks to watch the parades and catch strings of beaded necklaces tossed from the outrageously decorated floats. Bourbon Street is one of the main areas where people congregate, but the whole French Quarter is generally packed. The tradition was introduced to the city by French settlers and became particularly popular by the end of the 19th century. Number 3. National World War II Museum. The National World War II Museum is an outstanding museum with engaging exhibits and documentary snippets that tell the history of World War II as it was fought in Europe and in the Pacific. The museum is divided into 3 sections, with one section devoted to the war in the Pacific, another devoted to the war in Europe, and a third building that houses World War II aircraft. A film entitled Beyond All Boundaries, produced and narrated by Tom Hanks, is shown in the 4D theater, with chairs that rumble as tanks go by on the screen, and stage props that turn the film into a full-on sensory experience. As you move from room to room through the exhibits, short black and white documentary-style film segments give a real-life look at how the items on display were involved in the war. Oral histories add to the impact. You are assigned a profile of someone who was in the war, and oral updates are available at stations throughout the complex to follow the soldiers' progression through wartime. Also part of the complex is the stage door canteen, featuring entertainment from the 1940s, with matinees and dinner shows. Number 4. Jackson Square. Jackson Square is the main square in the heart of the French Quarter, originally known as Place d'Armes. In the center of the square, surrounded by trees and greenery, is an equestrian statue, 1856, of General Andrew Jackson. Standing prominently at one end of the square is the landmark St. Louis Cathedral, with its white facade and cone-shaped spires. Also in the vicinity of the Cathedral are the Presbytère and Cabildo, both Louisiana state museums. The area in front of the cathedral, along the iron fence that surrounds the square, has long been an artist's hangout, and nearby are shops and restaurants, making it a popular spot for tourists. The whole area is very attractively laid out along the banks of the Mississippi, with the riverboat docks, the promenade known as the Moon Walk, and the Mill House, as well as a variety of stores. Number 5. Preservation Hall. Preservation Hall is an unassuming old building that has long been an institution in New Orleans known for jazz music. The historic hall still features traditional jazz by local artists. The building is small, creating an intimate setting, and seating is limited. Opening times and events are listed on the door each day, so if you are walking past in the afternoon you can see what's happening in the evening. Number 6. St. Louis Cathedral. On the north side of Jackson Square is the St. Louis Cathedral, a landmark structure in New Orleans. It was built in 1794 on the site of two earlier churches and is known for being the United States' oldest cathedral in continuous use. Pope John Paul II visited the cathedral in 1987. The church was built through contributions from Don Andrés Alministre de Raucous, a Frenchman who spent money from his fortune to rebuild New Orleans after the Second Great Fire. Number 7. City Park. New Orleans City Park covers more than 1,300 acres and contains numerous attractions and things to do, including the New Orleans Botanical Garden and the New Orleans Museum of Art and Sculpture Garden. Kids and families will love the Carousel Gardens Amusement Park, Storyland, and the soon-to-be-added City Splash Water Park, which is still a work in progress. Also on site are tennis courts and an 18-hole golf course, as well as beautiful areas for walking. The park claims to have one of the world's largest stands of mature live oak trees, with one that is almost 800 years old. Number 8. Louisiana State Museum at the Cabildo. The Cabildo, to the left of St. Louis Cathedral, was built in 1795 as the residence of the Spanish governor. It is noteworthy both as a historic building and for the museum and its outstanding collection. The first town council met here in 1799, and the Louisiana Purchase was agreed to here in 1803. It was at one time the Louisiana Supreme Court, but today the Cabildo houses the Louisiana State Museum and is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. The museum's collections focus largely on the history of New Orleans and Louisiana, particularly the people of Louisiana and the many ethnic groups that make up the population today. Number 9. Garden District. The Garden District is a prosperous residential area with lovely mansions, mature trees, and lush gardens, and is probably, in some respects, the stereotypical image many foreigners have of the Deep South. The area can be easily explored on foot, and some companies offer guided tours, which can be a good way to learn the history and see the sights. First Street, Camp Street, and Prytania Street are some good places to see large, elegant 19th century houses with extensive grounds. Some famous celebrities have homes in this area. Most visitors come to enjoy the tranquil environment and see the houses, but there are also boutiques and coffee shops in the area, although they are spread out, and finding a lunch spot may be more difficult than expected. Number 10. Autobahn Park and Autobahn Zoo. Southwest of the Garden District in uptown New Orleans is Autobahn Park, established on the grounds of what had been the site of the World's Industrial and Cotton Centennial Exposition of 1884. This is a fair distance from the French Quarter but provides a good excuse to see this part of the city. One of the highlights in the park is the Audubon Zoo. This is a fun escape from the busy city, with lush grounds and a good selection of domestic and exotic animals. Some of the most popular residents of the zoo are the giraffes, jaguars, leopards, orangutans, elephants, rhinos, lemurs, and alligators, including the rare white alligator, just to name a few. A small tram called the Swamp Train runs throughout the zoo and passes by the Louisiana Swamp Exhibit, sea lions, and reptile encounter areas. The complete ride takes about 30 minutes, tickets are available at the train station and are valid all day. During the summer months, the zoo offers a chance to cool off in the Splash Park, known as the Cool Zoo. Also within Autobahn Park are fine stands of oaks, a butterfly garden and insectarium, hothouses, the Autobahn Golf Club, a number of small lakes, and plenty of open green space.